Before we start the session, so we have a prolific researcher among us, Professor Ramamurthy sir from IIT Madras. So I request our director madam to please welcome sir with a bunch of flowers. So please receive this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Welcome
you.
to our institution.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Morning, all of you. Glad to see you here. Next 1 hour, 15 minutes, one and a half hours, I'll be taking you through the topic literature survey. What are the techniques, tools, skills that you need to develop, and what are the resources that are available for carrying out literature survey will be my focus. And I will, in the next slide, show you several questions which I'll try to address as part of literature survey. I'm basically pitching the lecture for the facilities or the access what the 4 campuses of Anna University has. I have tailor-made to that requirement. Affiliated colleges have to adapt to their requirements, because it's difficult for one to adapt. I don't know what all the facilities you have at different institutions. So basically it is focused on the 100+ scholars who are pursuing PhD within these 4 campuses. We will try to quickly address the following questions in this lecture. Basically, why do I need to carry out literature survey? When do I start and when do I stop doing literature survey? Third question is, there are formal methods of classifying literature. We'll go through what are the methods of classifying and where all the sources of literature that are available. Where do I look for a relevant literature for me? What are the resources? There are standard search methods we use in our research. What are those standard search techniques we will be adopting for doing a proper literature survey? Okay, I have downloaded a large number of papers from different sources, either open access or from the journal subscribed by your institution. You have downloaded. Then, how do I manage them? Before that, it's not that, all of us should understand, all the institutions are working under constrained environment. Each institution has a budget for library resources in terms of books, in terms of online journals, in terms of subscribing databases. I can confidently say that no best funded institution in the world, let it be private institution in any country, cannot subscribe to all the journals that are being published annually, will not be able to procure all the books that are being published annually by a range of publishers. So each of the institutes, what they do is, they try their best by allocating resources to best cater to the requirements of different disciplines of research that are being carried out. In terms of books, advanced level books that are coming out, conference proceedings, as well as the journal subscriptions. Nevertheless, the Government of India, to start with, to avoid duplication efforts and also to eliminate the to eliminate individual institutes getting into negotiation with publishers. It's a very difficult task. Okay, each publisher has to go to individual institutions, trying to understand their, number of research scholars, number of faculty, what will be the annual download trend, negotiating the journal pricing. Journal pricing is not the same by a publisher for you and for my institution. It will vary. And as we download in a particular year more, the next year subscription rates will increase. So based on the current downloads only next year's thing. If the downloads are at manageable level, responsible downloads, then there will be normally under negotiation 3 to 5% increase will be there annually, because they are adding new resources as well as they are extending the previous year's journal articles also for you, for access. So to reduce these efforts, Government of India constituted consortia, national level consortia. Initially there was 3 consortia. 6 years back, I think 5 years back, the Government of India felt the need for amalgamating all the 3 consortia. Many of you may be aware of it. The consortium, now it is named as E-Sodh Sindhu. Okay, it is being coordinated by InflibNet. You can, when you get time as a researcher, you should become familiar with all these things. You go to Anna University website, library website, you will find certain journals are being subscribed, databases are being subscribed, or indexing, abstracting services are being subscribed by IIT, by your Anna University for the 4 campuses, and certain journals, databases are provided by the consortia. Consortia also, the present consortia, E-Sodh Sindhu, has members across, representative members from IITs, IISc, NITs, representative members, and across UGC institutions, including state university representatives are there throughout the country. They sit, they have a advisory committee, they have a negotiation committee. Sometime in, they start in October, they start negotiating with publishers, major publishers, coming to them and then meeting with the committee, negotiate the price. Before they start negotiating, what they do is this coordinating organization, InflibNet, is also a Government of India set up thing. They write to all the universities and request input from them. What are the resources for which you would like to subscribe from your own funds? The consortia decides what resources that can be provided to IITs, state universities, centrally funded other technical institutes. They decide as a consortia policy decision. You will find, I will also show you through E-Sodh Sindhu, Anna University gets a range of products. This funding is, there is a direct funding for E-Sodh Sindhu from Government of India. It is, I can say roughly, it's a very high amount, around 250 crores is being pledged for nurturing research in this, through this consortia. All of us get benefited. And also, apart from providing resources from their funds, InflibNet, the consortia funds, they also negotiate with publishers and fix the rates on behalf of us, because they have already taken input. For example, I'll say American Chemical Society, ACS. If 200 institutes across the country wants to subscribe, express their desire that they will be subscribing for 2023, because they have pre-planned their budget. So they sit with the publisher. American Chemical Society is a professional society, it's not a commercial publisher. They sit with the publishers' representatives in India and negotiate. I have captive subscription for 200, tell the best rate. Instead of individually your librarian or your director of research and others negotiating for individual institutions, they negotiate as a bulk thing and they arrive at the subscription rates. Since we have expressed our interest, those institutions can subscribe at that rate. So, we stand to get benefited because of the consortia. Different institutions get benefited. Anna University by itself is, I would say, roughly, I may be wrong, I have not checked up recently, The journal subscriptions, sometime back it was standing at, annual journal subscription was standing at higher than 5 crores. If you can get from your library website the correct values, what you have. What I'm saying is pre-corona. So it's a fairly high investment Anna University is doing for your benefit. So I have given you a background of how when you are in the campus through your authenticated email ID given by Anna University, when you access a journal or a paper, if you are able to download a paper, lot of work behind the scene is going on to facilitate that. I'll come to little later, I'll come to the question of if I click on a journal paper, I'm not able to download it, says you pay $40, what should I do? I'll come to that little later. As I've told you, no institutions can procure to all the journal papers, all the resources that are being published. So, how do I manage if I have downloaded 200 papers from different sources? How do I manage them? Most of you would have started doing research, is it not? How many of you are in the first semester of research? Good. So, when you start doing literature survey and start downloading papers, you would have seen if you download a paper from Science Direct, it shows a funny number, 1S3 something. Or if you download from Springer Link, it shows some other value. So it won't be possible for us to do a proper folder management and trying to see which paper. You have to open the PDF file, then only you will be able to know what is that paper in, or you have to create a large number of subfolders. So I'll concentrate on, there are certain tools by which you will be able to better manage your resources, what you have downloaded. After having collected the literature, how do I write a critical review? What is that? What is a review means? We have seen several theses across universities, where we find that when we serve as examiner, when we serve as doctoral committee members, or when we look at the thesis at a later date, we find that literature survey means people think that writing simply, so and so has done this, so and so has done this, so and so has done this, I am going to do this. That's not literature survey. So, and when I am trying to compile and present a review which is critical, and then when I am going to, how do I list the papers as references, how do I cite them in the text? There are standard methods available, but there are protocols developed by universities. Your university will have a template. Sometimes we do have templates which varies across departments. We don't have one single template for the entire campus. Some universities have a very formalized procedure by which the citation style as well as listing references have to be at a particular thing. I'll touch upon this. I'll spend more time on the first few things and last one, compilation of review of literature and citation styles, little later. So, word of caution, I may eat over my time into your lunch. You have signed up for PhD, there is no mercy on it. When I decide to close, I'll close. When I decide to close, you will have your lunch. Okay. Let me get started with the problem identification phase. I'll choose my own area as an example for you. It is something like you take a camera and zoom in. That's what I have attempted to give here. Okay. First start with the discipline. My area of my discipline, I can say civil engineering. Next, my specialization. My specialization is building technology and construction management. Then I come to my area. Within building technology and construction management, there can be large number of areas. It can be building science and technology. Within building science and technology, it can be, thermal comfort, day lighting, artificial lighting, acoustics, indoor thing, or it can be building automation, many other things you can have. And construction engineering management similarly, or you can also have a large number of construction materials. So when I come to area, my area is, I would say, concrete technology. Within that, I work on topic. I can say my focus is on concrete technology. It has a whole of thing. I focus on lightweight concrete. Lightweight concrete, I focus on lightweight aggregates, light foam concrete, aerated concrete. These are all various areas, the topics. For a PhD scholar, it's not, topic is not lightweight aggregate or thing. What exactly, within a chosen area, what exactly is going to be done? It will be fairly clear, it will become clear after some time only. Okay, I'll ask a question. How many of you are clear about area? Area, clear. Fairly good number. Topic, not the problem, research problem. I am not asking the title of the research problem. Topic. Okay. Fair enough. Don't feel thing. That's why I have said don't be impatient. Final statement. Okay. That's why you do join. You do certain courses. Why do you do courses? Courses are not just for the sake of completion. They are not going to be partial fulfillment for the award of the PhD degree. They are towards. Do we have Master of Science by research also? Okay. But predominantly I will be pitching for doctoral research. So, the coursework what is prescribed for you is to understand the techniques, tools, skills, analysis methods, experimental protocol, data analysis, many other dimensions what is required for your research. So as you do your courses and as you do literature survey, keep discussing with your research advisor, problem should evolve. Sometimes, the type of guidance also varies across guides or research advisors. Somebody may be type of spoon feeding type. Okay, you want to do PhD with me. The problem is prescribed, like the doctor prescribes, headache, take this medicine. Or you have something prescriptive. Prescriptive guidance is something like a spoon feeding, whereas some of the research advisors may allow you to learn to define the problem yourself. It is something quickly I'll give you the difference between how many of you are from rural area? Studied in rural area. Good. So how did you learn swimming when compared to city kids? City kids, children are taken to a standard swimming pool, shallow area with a tube. You hold the shallow area, hold the parapet and leg movement alone. But in the villages, what has been done? Your elders, you would have gone one day, they would have dumped you in the well, fighting for life, you would have taken a lot of water, and that senior fellow will know. If you are sinking, that fellow would have pulled your hair and pulled you out. So they take care of you. Who will learn swimming faster? That's where. So if you are spoon fed, why I gave this example, because problem definition, don't be impatient. Problem definition should evolve. PhD, if you are considering PhD towards as an end or as an achievement towards a goal of a degree, then you succumb to problem definition by the guide. PhD is, in my opinion, is a process of learning how to do research. What you do as a research problem is only a tool to learn how to do research. At the end of PhD, if I have not become confident of becoming an independent researcher, the purpose of degree is lost. That's what we see in the case of as we produce large number of PhDs, we have to ensure, our objective is to ensure that each of the PhDs what we produce have become independent researchers. When you go out, you cannot become a photocopy of your guide. You can't continue delta X variation on the same problem you are doing, then you have not learned research. You should be confident of going out to a new institution when you take up R&D or faculty position. You should start off a new research problem and then define a problem for yourself, apply for research funding, get new candidates and motivate them to pursue, handhold them, and then make them as independent researchers. That's how the research culture goes on. Okay. Now, that's what I wanted to emphasize, that don't be impatient in problem definition, but don't depend too much on your research advisor also, because the moment we call India as a guide, people expect to handhold till you graduate. No. Beyond a certain, let me tell you one important thing. As advisors, we have multitasking to do, teaching, research guidance of multiple scholars, but with respect to your research problem, you are expected to do 24/7. You have only one focus. So after some time, you know more on this problem, what you are pursuing, than your research advisor. So discuss, openly disagree, debate, and then be inquisitive, thereby you will be able to arrive at the research problem. So between topic and research problem is where your literature survey comes in. Now let me move on. First, this slide covers why do I have to do literature survey if I have to assume a role of a lifelong researcher. Okay. When I take up a research topic, I should be curious what approaches others have used, or why are some of these approaches unsuitable, may give you the gap in existing research. That's where I told you, people write literature surveys, so and so has done this, or all these people have done this, I am going to do like this. Then there is a big disconnect. So that's where people say the literature surveys should culminate with need for research in that area. There can be so many needs, so many gaps may be there, but you are not expected to solve the whole problem during your PhD, because it's time bound. It's not time bound, research is not time bound, but it is. I would, for practical purposes, you can't do it PhD indefinitely, lifelong. So as I say, there is a time limit given by the university, but we also have urge to complete it early. Am I correct? So we have a time limit for any program, upper limit, and also we have my limitation, my advisor's limitations. Infrastructure are available to me in terms of computational, in terms of laboratory infrastructure. We tailor make the problem. Amongst this, what I can solve with the given conditions, boundary conditions, is what is a problem definition goes like that. Okay. So how is your, definitely people will ask you, what is your contribution in PhD vivas? People will ask. You can't say that my guide asked me to do this, I did this. This is not acceptable. You are going to, that's why PhD vivas is called a defense. You are defending your thesis. You are going to defend your thesis. You can't look at your guide in your PhD viva or any seminar, your guide cannot open his or her mouth. Don't expect them to prop you. You have to fully, before going to a seminar or viva, you ask whatever doubts you have with your guide. You are going to defend your thesis. So whatever you have done, whatever you have written, each line you should be able to defend from your thesis. That's where, how is the problem different from that of others is a big question which you will get only from literature survey. Then, apart from this, when I do a proper literature survey, I also learn other approaches to similar problem or similar approaches to other problem. That's where I'll give you one example to highlight this. some of you may be from metallurgical engineering area, maybe here. You have a area called powder metallurgy, okay, where you agglomerate powder and then you do sintering, etc. Same powder metallurgy, it's a powder, you have some ore or iron or any other thing. Same thing in civil engineering, I have fly ash, bottom ash, pond ash, etc. It's also a powder. Why don't I adapt powder metallurgy principles of pelletization and for agglomeration into making it aggregate, and then sintering or any other technique I make artificial aggregate. So it's not that when you take up research you will have to look for techniques, tools that has been used in your area alone. You should keep your eyes and ears open across disciplines what's happening. Okay. And also you cannot write your thesis, with best example is building requires foundation, so that all the loads are transferred onto the ground safely through the foundation. Literature survey is like a foundation for your thesis. That's what I wanted to highlight, the importance of literature survey. Okay. If you don't do literature survey, last slide also I'll complete with the same statement. You can't plead ignorance. I didn't know. You can't say my university I didn't have access to this journal, or I didn't have access to these resources. You can't take excuse when an examiner is pointing out, or even when you send a paper. Most of the times papers do get rejected because people are ignorant about what is the state of art in that area. They think that they have done something and they write to a journal, but it's a duplication of work, or people have done much in-depth work. That's where avoid wastage of effort and duplication. Already solved problem, are you trying to solve the same problem, is a big question. Coming back to your thesis context, thesis should be original research, otherwise it gets invalidated. If there is a significant duplication, the value of the thesis goes down. And as I have told you in the previous one, to gain knowledge, establish the context with which you are carrying out research also is important. What is the difference? Here, the scope and context with which you are going to be writing research. As of now, for many of you, what is the topic is not clear, exact research topic, and then research problem is not clear, and then after that only you should be able to identify the objectives and scope. As discussions go on, as you do literature survey, you should also proactively, you discuss with your research group, some seniors within your laboratory or with your advisor, and with your advisor periodical discussions. Problem will evolve. As the problem evolves, there may not be initially, there will be lack of clarity. What I would suggest is keep till today I have clarity about a research problem. Write down and then write down the objectives. As the problem gets clearer, throw it out or strike it out and make it, restate the problem, restate, and then rewrite. Objectives will get refined. The objectives, each objective may require certain methodology to be adopted, and more importantly, defining the scope of your work is very important. The scope of the work lays down the boundary within which you are doing your research. If you don't define the scope properly, all of you are familiar with some sports, some games, no? Any game you take, tennis has certain rules or cricket has certain rules, including field size, the how many in each team, what is the terms and condition, or shuttle, or any game has a thing. If it is a hockey, the stick dimensions and the ball dimension, ball weight, everything is defined. If you don't define, I am giving you some simple, crude example. If you don't define the scope of, define the terms and conditions of the game properly, your thesis is your game. The examiner will expect you to play, hockey with a hockey stick with football. You have to say that these are all my assumptions. These are all the, boundaries within which I have worked. Nobody expects you to be solving the whole problem in that area. Okay, your research problem is only, as a PhD thesis, you are not expected to, what you are expected to do is delta X contribution to the existing knowledge, that's all. That you should be clear, your thesis should convey clearly, that's why I wrote. For all these things, the foundation is, starting point is the literature. Okay. When do I start and when do I stop? If I am choosing research as a lifelong career, I have to do every day. I should be up to date, update myself what is happening, what is being published today. If you are as a PhD scholar, you should keep doing research till you submit your thesis. No, till your viva. Okay. Because as you carry out, because what people do is when we go for doctoral committee meetings, research scholars proudly want to convince the doctoral committee members that they have completed something. People keep saying, I have completed literature survey. That's wrong to say literature survey. Literature survey continues throughout your research program because of this reason. Any new information you find during course of your PhD can change the direction of your thesis, or sometimes it can change the emphasis of your thesis, many things, in view of finding a new information. The reason being, you have been trying to, I'll again give a simple crude example to make you realize the importance. You have been trying to solve a problem by touching the nose like this. Somebody has touched it like this. So, that some publication coming in, or if you have neglected research, people have already solved the problem in a much simpler thing, then the whole thing becomes questionable. Quickly, I'll summarize the classification of literature into 4 categories. One is called primary source, secondary source, tertiary source, and fourth one is called non-documentary source. What do you refer as a primary source? Primary sources of literature report original research. All your research journals are there. You can recollect from your memory some of the journals what you have accessed as examples for journals reporting original research. Many of the research reports, funded projects have research reports. Your thesis is a original, it's a primary source. What you are going to submit becomes a primary source, because all the theses submitted to universities which are under UGC, including CFTIs, now it has to go into Esod Ganga. I'll come to that little later. So you have a large repository of thing. So they do conference proceedings, patent standards, trade literature, and also many times unpublished work also becomes accessible later. People value it as a very valuable resource. Many times what happens, we do research, record all the results in laboratory notebooks. Maybe you are presenting the process results only. You would have done a lot of work, experimental work, or numerical work or analytical work, but for maintaining the flow, some of the things you may not be, all the work what you are doing may not get included in the thesis. But the raw data is not to be disposed of. You leave the raw data in the lab itself. With your level of understanding on that day when you did the experiments, with your time constraints, you would have been able to visualize the data, behavior, or the property of the material or interpretation of the results in a particular manner. Maybe after you, somebody coming in may be able to look at it in a much better way. So, best example given for unpublished work is great mathematician Ramanujam's scribblings. Even today, mathematics researchers from here will vouch, people are trying to do that. There are also unpublished work or raw data, laboratory diaries, memoranda, international research report, personal files, etc. becomes a part of primary source. Then what are secondary sources? Secondary sources and tertiary sources lead you to primary sources. What you need for research is only primary source. You have to lay your hands on primary source, for which secondary resources help. Secondary resources can be classified as a worked over knowledge. Okay, worked over knowledge in the sense I can say that there are some journals which specifically focus on reviews. The journal title itself, review on applied mechanics, review on certain things, it will highlight. They dedicatedly publish only review papers, they don't publish original work. Review papers are not written by us, no vice researchers. Review papers are done by people who have established themselves last 15-20 years in a particular area. They do, with all their experience, they summarize, critically bring out a review, which from a single point of source help researchers. Those reviews will be very critical, and they throw, with which you will have some 100-200 references. That directs you to 200 papers in your area. So that's where worked over knowledge, even books, I can classify them as research books, I can classify them as, I'm not referring to textbooks. There are several books which are helpful as a secondary resource. Next important secondary resource is, you would have heard of abstracting indexing services. Like simplest example, all of us are familiar with Scopus. Scopus, all of us are familiar with Scopus. Or Web of Science, MathSciNet. For different areas I am giving you example. MathSciNet or even SciFinder Scholar. All are federated search engines covering different domain specializations. Okay. So these indexing abstracting services, you use certain set of keywords and then it will take you to the primary source of journals in which, journal articles in which the original research is published. Many other things. Basically they repack the information from primary sources and also guide the researchers to the primary sources. Then what are tertiary sources? I would say that your Anna University Library website is one of the tertiary sources. Apart from that, there are guides available for bibliographies, list of books. Nowadays, online resources, OPAC, Web OPAC is there in your library. That's also, I can call it as a tertiary resource which directs you towards certain search. There are also guides to libraries, etc. Okay. All these things are either take physical form or online resources. Then what are non-documentary sources? Best example is, I always believe that as a research scholars, I have learned more from my peers rather than from my guides. I can authentically make this statement. You will also realize when you are going to be completing a PhD that you have learned more from your peer group rather than, apart from, I should use the word carefully, apart from guides, should not get upset, apart from your research advisors, because peer learning is the most significant thing. How do you present, how not to present a lecture, how do you present your visualization techniques, how to write a thesis, how to carry out experiments, lab seniors, next generation. It's a passing the baton like a relay race. Okay, so you learn a lot of things through informal sources. You go to a government department if you are working on humanities, social sciences. You look for some data, talk to people, questionnaires, oral questionnaires. many other discussions. I would even say that this course which is being organized to you is a non-documentary resource. Can I say that? This course is when we did PhD, this type of spoon feeding was not there. We learnt it ourselves. You are benefited by the university which is organizing a program like this. This is a non-documentary source. Okay. And many times when we go for a conference, conferences, you will listen to others, your presentation time will be limited. But most importantly, when during lunch time, during tea break time, or during dinner time, you meet with some top researcher, they become curious about your presentation, they ask you a few questions, they give you some suggestions which you would not have got it from different sources, what was accessible to you at all. That's where these corridor meetings, even the discussion with your guides or seniors, etc., becomes a non-documentary source. They are all much more valuable than some of the secondary and tertiary resources. Okay, how many of us are familiar with the way in which books are classified in the library? How many of us are very comfortable in universal decimal classification? Anna University also follows the universal decimal classification, or it's also called DDC. How the books are classified in the library. Now I am speaking in English. This is a medium of communication. Each one of us have a mother tongue. We communicate in our houses with a medium of. There is a language for the library, which is called, library language is called the classification codes. How many of us are familiar? Books, any book, I would like to draw your attention on three. I have taken this example just to highlight three important numbers. One is, I would say, okay. One is this number. One is this. Second one is this number. Third one is this number. First, let me start with the last one I highlighted, which is called an accession number. Accession number is unique to each library. If Anna University Library has some 2 lakh books on holding or 3 lakh books on holding, the next book which is bought is given 3 lakh 1 as the accession number. Okay. This doesn't mean much to users except for one thing. When you are searching with your Web-OPAC with a keyword, research methodology you search, it throws up one author, it throws up multiple edition. Okay, without even going through the edition, the book which has highest accession number is the latest edition. That way only it helps for you and me as a user of the library. Next, this international book standard number, all of you are familiar with ISBN number. How many digits are there? Anyone can tell? 5, 7, 10, 13, 15 digits. Objective type question. Your entrance test was objective type only, no? Is it, am I correct? Anyone answer, try? Earlier it was a 10-digit number, ISBN number. Presently it's a 13-digit number. ISBN number, each publisher has the ISBN number, first few digits represent the publisher, later for the book. Each book published is given an ISBN number. In India, ISBN agency is Raja Rammohn Roy Library, has been entrusted with the responsibility of distributing ISBN numbers to the publishers. Anyone can register ourselves as a publisher. I don't have to be a commercial publisher. As an university, as an institution, we can register ourselves as a publisher. We can publish our books by ourselves. So when as a publisher, I assume that IIT Madras is a publisher, somebody wants to publish a conference proceedings or a book with IIT Madras as a publication, we assign ISBN numbers. It is reported to back to the Raja Rammohn Roy Library, and it is, any search you do, it will throw up as a database. ISBN number, how does it help you? ISBN number also, when you order a book, you please note down through Amazon, Flipkart, many other resources today, online resources. You order a book, or somebody coming and selling books in your hostel or department also, you buy books. You note down the latest, the ISBN number of the version of the book, edition of the book you are going to order. Then you ensure, compare and see whether the ISBN number, what you have ordered, has been delivered to you. Otherwise, each edition has a different ISBN number. For a higher discount, more profit the publisher can, the vendor can sell you with a earlier edition rather than the latest ISBN edition. We become, ISBN number is printed in the third page of the book and also on the back side of your cover page. Third is the most important library classification is called, we simply call it as it's a UDC classification, we call it as a universal decimal call number, we call it colloquially, we call number. You walk into the library, next time when you walk into the library, Anna University library, just become familiar how the books are located. You don't have to, once I go to IIT Delhi library or IIT Kharagpur library or my own library, I don't ask, or when I enter Anna University library also, I don't have to go and ask the librarian. I shouldn't be, as a researcher, I should not be asking the librarian where are civil engineering books located, where are these data analysis books or statistics books are located. I shouldn't be asking. If it is okay for a UG student, it's okay for a master's, MTech, ME students, but not for you. You at the earliest become familiar, you should be able to orient yourself in the library. That's where this helps you. I'll give you some example how call number is given. Each branch, each discipline has these numbers, classification numbers done. If you go to the library, there will be classification written on the left, on the each rack. Library science starts with 0. Their own area, they started with 0.1 like that. Then 620 starts. Then it comes to humanities, sciences, mathematics, physics, chemistry and all, it will come. Within mathematics, you will have different numbers, statistics, partial differential equation, partial differential, algebra, numerical analysis, etc. will come in. Why I want you to become familiar? Because you think that, I'll give you again one example. If I am looking for a book on lighting, for my teaching, lighting book will be in building technology 693, or it may be in optics. Under optics also books will be there. Same thing when I am searching for a book on ventilation and air conditioning, it will be again in 694. Maybe, but it will also be in under air conditioning, under mechanical engineering, air conditioning also will be there. Air conditioning, refrigeration. I have given you certain examples. If you are looking for some data analysis, some books may be classified under, based on the emphasis given by the authors. Some books may be under management studies, some books will be under mathematics, many other dimensions. So when you should become familiar with these classification numbers. Okay, I will not go into it. If you pull out a book from the library, there will be edge strip, which will mark. Best example is mechanics of material. Hundreds of authors have published. Many of you may be familiar. Okay, if I want to pick out a book written by Charlton, the edge itself, I don't have to pull out 624.04. 100 books may be there in your library. I cannot pull out 100 books and to locate that. So the edge strip will have 624.04 CHO. CHO is Charlton last name, first 3 letters will be there. So you become familiar, it will be easy for you to pull out the book what you are looking for. Okay. As I told you, books are classified under 13 digits, ISBN number, and the journals are classified as ISSN number, International Standard Serial Number, okay, which is 8-digit number. And how are each journal paper classified? Each journal paper has a digital object indicator number. This we should become familiar. If you go to some websites or when you download a paper, on top of it DOI number will be there. I'll give you one example. I can cut and paste this DOI number or click on the link of DOI number from PDF files also. You would have found in some references many people give the DOI number. It will allow you to click on it. It is hyperlinked. When you click on it, DOI number, it will open out. It will go directly to the journal. Okay. See here, DOI number is there. I am able to show you the DOI number here. Each paper has the DOI number embedded in it. Like the way books have ISBN numbers and journals has ISSN number, each paper from a journal has a unique DOI number. People today researchers in their websites, they give the published papers, the papers which I have published, if I am listing, they simply give the DOI number to facilitate people clicking on it and go there. If your institution has access to the journal, you will be able to download the paper. If it is not there, it will show you how much you have to pay. Now let me classify the steps involved in literature survey as search, collection means downloading, acquisition and managing, then finally critical review. This is where I spend time on problem definition, because before you start searching, you should know what you are looking for. If you are not clear about what you are looking for, you won't get what you are looking for. So, you have a discussion with your research advisor, some seniors, about better get a clarity of your research problem or broad topic. Then arrive at a set of keywords. Choose. This can be in terms of the research problem by itself, core area, or it can be techniques, tools, numerical methods, or it can be experimental technique, or many other things, or XRD related things, or SCM or TGA, many other dimensions of tools and skills you may be applying to your research area. So, write down the overall objectives and scope, that is very important. Then, during search, it's not one single search. As you search, you should be able to refine your keywords, because at an early stage you may have a very broad search term. When you have a broad search term, it will throw up 3,500 papers. This is not humanly possible to download and read. You will be lost in others' work before you can get some clarity on your research problem. So, the simplest rule I will tell you from Sherlock Holmes quoting: collect only what you need. If you collect like the way you take a kid to a supermarket, the kid will say, I want this, whatever is in the display, the kid, you won't be able to control. You don't do like that as a researcher. Whatever you see, don't start downloading. It will become unmanageable for you. You will get confused. So, stay focused, refine keywords. There are search techniques that are available based on which I'll just. Most important thing is, bear in mind that most of the problems are interdisciplinary, if not multidisciplinary. So, you should not confine yourself to one set of search database alone. You should look at, I'll give you example. If I use MathSciNet for a particular keyword, it will show up certain things. If I use SciFinder Scholar, it will show up some other paper. If I use Scopus, it will show. It's not, there may be several overlapping papers, but it will show up something which is not in the coverage zone of Scopus or MathSciNet. MathSciNet may be relevant to, it may throw up some mathematical modeling related in my area, which I would not have got it through, or in the 3,000 and odd things it would have got lost. So, bear in mind and be prepared to draw information from subjects other than your own. Okay. There are two methods people normally quote: snowball method and systematic search. Snowball method is useful for giving a course-based program term project, or suddenly doctoral committee meeting is coming, I have to show something quick thing, I can choose these type of snowball method. Snowball method is like lay your hands on a most recent paper in your area. go to the end, it will give you some 20-30 references. Try to access each one of those references, and then each one of those papers will have 15-20 references. Okay? So as you go, it will grow up. But that I would say that that's not a correct method, that cannot be called as a systematic research, because systematic literature survey, because you are depending on the citation done by the other researcher. Their citation, they might have been biased, they would have left something. How do you know? They might have left some important things. What they have cited only what is relevant for their work. It doesn't mean exhaustive. So you need to go in for short duration term project assignments or immediate requirements you can do, or preparing for some lectures you can use the snowball method. But online thing, I have highlighted online thing. Till now, what is the search tool you have used for searching literature? Till now, search. I want to search some papers, what is being published. How many of us have been using Google Scholar for searching? Now you are in Anna University campus. Okay, you have fantastic resources. I'll come to that. The institute is investing a lot of resources for you. Okay, stop using Google Scholar. Google Scholar, stop using. You rely on MathSciNet is available. You have Scopus. Cutting across disciplines of sciences, management, humanities, engineering and technology, Scopus provides you a much larger database. Okay. Sometimes, research scholars, when you ask in DC meetings, or even if you ask, people say, I did literature survey using Science Direct. How many of you have heard people doing literature survey using Science Direct? You have heard, no? Science Direct, if you do, I'm not saying it's wrong, Science Direct will throw up papers published in Elsevier journals only. Science Direct is a federated thing for Elsevier journals, searching 2,600 plus journals of Elsevier only, we will get the data. Scopus is also a product of Elsevier, but Scopus contains a large spectrum of journals across publishers, Whaley, Sage, Elsevier, Springer, the host of entire gamut of journals. They have an arrangement for which they index it. Okay, they are called indexing abstracting databases. So earlier it used to be chemical abstract, now we call it as a SciFinder Scholar. I don't know whether you have access to SciFinder Scholar. I could not find SciFinder Scholar in your within your access. Most importantly, before I go into journal papers search, many times journal papers, how many of you have read at least one journal paper till now? Just raise your hands. Okay, fairly very high number. How many of you, don't feel shy, how many of you have understood or were comfortable when you read the first paper? Discouraging? Disappointing? Did I make the correct decision of joining research? I couldn't make out head or tail out of it. I am not able to understand any sentence that they are making. It's quite true. For an LKG kid, ABCD is difficult. Okay? Research papers are not written for novice researchers. Point number one. Research papers are have page constraints. You can't write elaborately in a research paper. Journals have 5,000 word limit, 5,000 words or page limits are given by the journal. So, research papers are written for peers, not for novice researchers. You will become an expert in a couple of years as you read lot of papers. When do I start understanding the contents in a paper? When I start reading a paper, I have several missing links. Fair enough, all of you agree with me? I am not able to make out many things. So, don't get discouraged. You read papers in certain sequence. when you are getting stuck somewhere, you go to the cross-reference and read the paper and come back here, you will be able to better. And when you read papers in different cycles as you proceed, several times in several combinations, you come back, you will be able to better understand. So it's quite normal. Don't get upset. You will get confidence in the coming years as you read more papers. It should become a culture. Every day I am reading at least 5 papers. Come what may. I may have teaching load, I may have some other things, I may have my own PhD work. Don't get bogged down 24/7 in lab producing data. You should keep yourself up to date. It doesn't take time. Okay, just read like a novel, and as you read different papers, different cycles, you will get a better confidence. So papers are written for peers. How to overcome that? If you can lay your hands on thesis, full text of the thesis, then thesis is written elaborately. Discussions are longer. Each minute detail of how you have conducted the experiment, experimental setup, or numerical modeling, what you have done, or analytical derivations, everything is explained to 200 pages, 150 to 200 pages. So if you read some of the theses in your own lab done by your seniors, or you can even download from Sindhu several theses, and then read them, that will give a better understanding. There are several databases that are available. All the thesis submitted to North America, wherever they have most of the universities have an understanding with ProQuest. ProQuest, I don't think an university has ProQuest access, which is they will be pursuing that. ProQuest database gives all the theses submitted to North American universities in PDF form. Okay, and indexed thesis is UK and Ireland theses are there. Even if you don't have access, your institution doesn't have access, you don't have to worry. A thesis costs, if you want to buy a thesis, it costs only $50, procuring PDF file. I don't want PhD scholars to procure from your fellowship or your personal money. I'll be the last person to ask you to invest your hard-earned money on this. Your advisors will have some projects, several other sources through which they can procure and give you. That should not be a problem. You should only find out very critically useful resources and bring it to the attention of your advisor. They will be able to facilitate for you. Okay, or your institute library can facilitate through some funds that may be available. But this is a very important resource. Sodhganga contains all the theses, because last several years back itself, UGC has mandated that all the degrees awarded by the UGC affiliated institution should be uploaded to Sodhganga repository. Recently what they have done is to take care of best practices, because this NIRF ranking, all of you are familiar with NIRF ranking. NIRF ranking, the committee had difficulty in verifying the data with respect to number of PhDs produced by each institution. From 2023 onwards, the NIRF ranking framework committee has resolved that all those who are participating in NIRF ranking should upload all the last 3 years thesis should be uploaded into NIRF ranking. Those last 3 years number of thesis which is uploaded only will be taken as the number of PhDs produced by that institution. So in fact we were creating our own database. Now we have starting uploading the PhD thesis into Sodhganga. Okay, so that's a very valuable resource within the country. And the second one, as I told you, ProQuest provides you one input, second thesis, or I would even say many of the institutions abroad have built in their own local repositories, thesis repositories. Some of you might have already visited it. I would say they are all following only 2 platforms. Okay, eBrary, DSpace and ePrint. Okay, you don't have to worry whether it is a DSpace or ePrint. I am just mentioning to you, DSpace is one platform which is open source, ePrint is another platform which is an open source, which both can be downloaded. They download and use that platform to facilitate indexing and all that it helps to upload. So many of the libraries, so go to your MIT USA, you will find that MIT USA has a DSpace thesis available. Some of the universities, many of the universities have a mandatory, what I call as moratorium period. The thesis which a degree is awarded immediately is not made accessible to the public. Okay. In our institute, we have a 1 year mandatory period of 1 hour. If the guide and the scholar wants, they can have a moratorium period of 1 year from the award of the degree or from the date of viva. The reason being, we are under pressure. We would not have published all the papers that is from the thesis before submission or before the viva, because we, as research scholars, we would like to look for future postdoc fellowships or job, I think multiple pressure. So it is time given for people to publish those papers which have not yet been published. That moratorium period is a reserve period. If one of the scholars says, I have published all the work, I don't require a moratorium period, it can be, they can exercise the freedom. Institute provides them facility to do the moratorium period. I think here also you will have some moratorium period like this. It is better now that with the mandated requirement of all the thesis going to e-Sodhganga, we stand benefited to download and use as a young researcher. As you get as you become a mature researcher, submit your thesis. You also please remember that within 1 year it is going to go to open access throughout the world, not necessarily India. So it's all the more important that you also publish and claim credit for the work you have done. If you leave it, somebody else modifies something and publish, you will lose the credit for losing. Apart from this, there is also from CFTA part, National Digital Library is also there, which is being coordinated by IIT Kharagpur. You may be familiar with that. It has a huge repository of lectures, online books, and then several other resources. When you get time, play with ndl.iitkgp.ac.in. You will have access. You can create your own user ID and password, and you can play with that and get benefited with a large number of resources. Okay. As I have told you, you have in your institution, Anna University has Web of Science, I'll go, Scopus and Web of Science access, and MathSciNet also you have. Okay. I'll quickly, what I suggest is, when we start literature survey, we do search through Scopus and then identify papers which are essentially required and start off reading them and define a problem as we proceed. Every day you can't go to Scopus, no, after doing a literature survey. What you should do, you should also go to journal website. You know by and large what are the journals which are relevant to your area. Wide spectrum of journals. I would suggest that each one of you should subscribe to contents alerts to the journal. A range of journals, maybe I would say to start with 50 or 75 or 100 journals. You subscribe to contents alert in for each of the journal. When you go to the website of the journal website, let it be a professional society, ASME, ACS, ASCE, or APS, American Physical Society, or AAP, or Elsevier, Science Direct, Springer Link, John Whaley, Sage, any publisher you go, search with the journal title or browse through the journal title, okay, or search through keywords, because searching through 2,700 journals of Elsevier one by one becomes tedious. You search through thing and you create a user ID and password. You ask for content alert. Content alert by which? How many of you have already subscribed to content alerts? Is there anyone who has subscribed? Very good. So what I would suggest is, the moment you subscribe to content alerts for a range of journals which are being done, what is done is each paper we send it. It is subjected to a review process. Once the review is over, it is sent back, comments are sent back to the authors. Feedback, either the paper is accepted or rejected. When the paper is accepted, finally the editor in chief communicates the decision to the authors. Once most of the journals, what they do is, when it is accepted, immediately accepted, it goes online first. Without page number, without issue number, it is put for people to download online with a DOI number. DOI number is available. Then the publisher alerts the editor-in-chief. Okay, it's time to bring out October issue, because it takes time. October is coming up, another 20 days. Can you line up, editor-in-chief, they request, can you please line up the articles from the accepted bunch of articles, which are all the articles you would like to make it as an October issue. So the editor chooses the articles and communicates the publisher. Okay, these are all the articles, this many papers, these are all the things, put it in this order. Then the editorial support office makes the page numbers, prepares the table of content. Each journal has a table of content, each book has a table of content, each journal prepares a table of content for that particular issue, October issue. The moment the October issue is finalized, table of content is there. If you have registered for contents alert, you will get the table of contents to your email ID. So it takes only hardly 2 minutes. There may be some 25 papers in that issue. Just read through the title. From the title itself, you can make out whether it is relevant for you or not. Okay, I would suggest each of the institutions are subscribing with their budget, with great, investing resources. We should be responsible in downloading the resources. Otherwise, subsequent years, the subscription will increase and it will become unsustainable. So, normal practice of looking at a title, downloading the PDF file, we should avoid. Let us avoid doing that. Look at the title, then there is provision for you to read the abstract. Abstract reading is free. You click on the abstract, read the abstract. If the paper, after reading the abstract, you feel that it is useful for you, then download. This is called responsible download. Second one, being in a campus like this, and you have lot of resources that are made available to you within the campus, you will be able to access them. Why I am saying responsible download? Because one of the important things is what novice researchers do is impatiently, okay, let me download the entire issue, let me download subsequent issues, it will be maybe useful for me later, I am going to think. So people systematically, without applying mind, each paper from an issue or a large number of paper within a short time, it is called systematic downloading. Thereby, because for Anna University, they would have given one IP to the publishers. If there is a systematic downloading, short duration, only one thing, large number of downloads are happening, the publisher will cut access to the university. Entire campus will be deprived of access, all the 4 campuses. Then the library professor in charge have to appeal to the journal to get the download details, and then with your computer center, Ramamurthy computer center help, they can identify the email ID. You have through internet access within the campus through your email ID only, no? Anna University email ID. Access will be done through email ID. People, our computer center can identify the email ID that has been used to download these papers. They can also identify the MAC number of your machine also. So, it is then internal regulatory process is different. Then the professor in charge and the librarian has to apologize to the publisher, saying, assuring that, like a politician, no, assuring that we will ensure that this will not happen again. We are educating our research scholars through certain courses like this. They will be more responsible. We take the responsibility. Again, after apologizing, they restore this. That's how they don't know, these publishers don't know whether somebody else spurious websites or entering your firewall and stripping the whole database of the journals. Their business is gone, total business will be gone. So, I would suggest that let's not worry about other things. When I am downloading a paper, I have made sure by reading the abstract it is useful for me for 2 reasons. I am using the resources judiciously so that longer years the institution will be sustainable, subscriptions will be sustainable. And second thing is, I am avoiding short duration, high intensity systematic downloading. You can use Science Direct, I'll show you here. Quickly, I have Scopus, you can do author-wise search. Okay, I have opened up a Scopus thing. author-wise search, document search. Document if I want to have, I'll just quickly show you. Once you get your official email ID, you will be able to, within the campus, you will be able to access Scopus. See here, I used a keyword, very broad keyword. It throws out 2079 papers. I can't make out. So how can I zero down on this? How can I narrow? All open access. My institution may not have access because affiliated institutions. I want to confine to start with open access. Open access itself I have 613. Okay. Open access is where the authors bear the article processing charges and make it available to the whole research community as an open access without having to have individuals. If I am outside IIT, I am an individual. When I access it, I have to either pay. I have to pay $40 or so. Other than that, this is the people call it as a behind the firewall papers. People do open access. Open access is costly. If I want to publish a paper in a very good journal or open access, it costs me $3,500. Or $1,500 to $3,000, $4,000 depending on the journal impact factor or prestige of the journal. Then I have to have a question as a researcher. With finite resources available, am I bothered about making it open, or with that $2,000, $3,000, how many bags of cement I can give it by, or resources I can get it for my further research? These are all, there is no single answer for it. People do have resources, they publish as open. There are several funding agencies in some of the countries encourage people to do open access. Things are evolving. You don't have to worry at that stage as an OS researcher about these things, but for your purpose, all these open access papers will be available. You can have a review of year-wise, how is whether this area is live or whether the area is dead. So I am able to see it has started very slow, 2-digit, then it has become 3-digit. This is a very live area. Number of papers published annually is increasing. I can use this. Who are all active in this area? This is what, you can use this to these authors who are all have published large number of papers in this area. You can use it. Your guides may use it for identifying examiners for you who are active in this area. And journal editors use this to, when you send a paper, journal editors use this data with keywords to identify reviewers for your area. And it's used by several people, several methods. Or you want to see one particular group which is doing excellent work. You want to focus review on that. You can choose this limit to exclude. You can exclude certain things also. And further, you can refine it, subject area in engineering, material science, what are the area. And you source titles, which journal publishes more papers to identify. If you are working in this area, you want to identify journals to which are relevant for publishing this work. See here, it shows which journal. So you know that these are all the top journals. Leave this conference. There are journals which publish more of this work. And affiliation, which institution has published more, which institution, and country-wise distribution. Always China tops. Okay, see here this area, China 660, India only 142. And source type, whether it is a journal or a conference proceedings. You can refine, exclude, include, search like this, or you can even refine a keyword search through this. There are just a quick demonstration only. Similarly, Web of Science, you have access within the campus, you can play with that and explore. I focused today from the resources that are available in the campus, 4 campuses of Anna University. You have from your website, you visit. I encourage you to visit your library website, which will provide you access, what are the resources that they are providing for the campus people. IEEE, which contains 375 journals. When I was going through, I was impressed. So much of investment is being done by Anna University for your benefit. I think you should first of all become aware of it and use it rather than getting into complaining mode, saying that I don't have this, somebody else has better facility. First question is, my last thing also is this: no institutions can subscribe to all the journals that are being published. You have huge resources, essay standards, 1,50,000 plus technical papers. Science Direct, you have engineering material science back volumes prior to 1995. You don't have to go to print journals at all. You have a huge repository of back volumes available, dated back, because all these online resources have a starting date. Science Direct, you have a very impressive collection of 10 subject collection: biochemistry, genetics, molecular biology, 251 journals, business management, accounting, 96 journals, chemical engineering, 101, chemistry is impressive, 117, energy, 86, engineering, 229, environmental sciences, 140, material science, decision sciences, physics, astronomy. What I am trying to say is it's a misleading thing. Chemistry means it's not that chemistry people are all going to work. When it is relating to cement chemistry, I will have some papers on it. What I am trying to say is, that's why I said interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary. When you search through Science Direct with a set of keywords, it will throw up papers from multiple journals which are relevant for you, or Scopus will throw up. Really, you have a very impressive collection of 1,600 journals plus. And ACS, American Chemical Society, you have 49 journals, ASC 36, entire 36 journals published by American Society of Civil Engineers, ASME 29, and these are all provided by ESOT Sindhu consortia. The previous page is Anna University invested resources from its own funding, internal funding. Here, ESS from the consortia to state universities, state funded universities and UGC supported universities are given. ACS 40 journals, ASC, ASME, and MathSciNet is provided to you by that. OUP, Oxford University Press, Springer Link, 1,500 plus journals are available, Taylor Francis, 1,100 plus journals are available. It's a very, it covers humanities, social, Taylor Francis covers, Oxford University Press covers large number of humanities, social sciences, apart from engineering, science and technology journals. Okay. Now I have been talking about quickly, another 10 minutes I will complete quickly. Traditional view is do research, basic research and publish. Okay. Nowadays people talk in terms of intellectual property. Okay, the wealth of the nation lies in the number of intellectual property you are holding. So patenting is also a given thrust, securing IP. Okay, patenting can be done for several things, processes, method, design or product development, etc. Okay, there are lectures available in NPTEL on patent search, patenting, patent law, etc. Beautiful lectures are there by different IIT faculty members from Kharagpur, several other places. But as of now, I said Anna University per se, to the extent I could go through the website, I am unable to find out any patent search tools subscribed. There are commercially available patents patent search tools available, but I don't think they are required for you. So there are some of the subscription based things are derived is by Clarivate Analytics, which is Web of Science publisher, and Orbit Express and ExcelPad, novelty search and all is there. Leave that. Actually when I said, I asked you not to use Google Scholar or Google search for your literature, but I would recommend you to use Google Patents. Google Patent is a very nice platform which is free. One is Google Patent, second one is there is a free patent search tool is available, lens.com, lens.org, and it's also subscription based. So when you subscribe, it will give you certain other features. As a freelance researcher, individual researcher, for non-commercial approach usages, you can use later thing. And you should also become familiar as researchers, visit several of the country. Each country has a patent office. India patent office is there, European patent office, US patent office, and World Intellectual Property Organization. Each of these services have a website and have, if I search through European Patent Office search tool, whatever is being patented in Europe, you will get. But this Google Patent or lens.org or these Orbit Express are commercially available. You can do certain analytics, it throws up thing, certain interpretations, certain you can store them, you can analyze them, you can visualize in a different pattern. You from there, lot of insight you will get. Not that all the research are being published. A word of caution, if you have certain intellectual property generated from your research, discuss with your advisor, discuss, there will be a patenting cell in your institute, discuss with them before publishing. The moment impatiently you publish, the novelty is gone. So, first protect your IP through filing a patent, then you can publish it, quoting that. Okay, it's enough if you file it, because it is awarding will take time. It will take through the processes. Patenting process is a separate lecture. I don't have time. You will be hungry. Okay, so you become familiar with these things. Okay, search thing I showed you. One, I entered foam concrete, a broad topic. It threw up to 2000 and odd search output. I said you can group them in terms of author or year or open access or by affiliation or any other methods what is thrown up by Scopus. Apart from that, there are also each of the website, let it be MathSciNet or your Scopus or Web of Science. Before you get a window for search, don't impatiently go to the window, enter keyword. Understand each of these federated search tools or indexing services give you certain Boolean combinations. This need not have to be the same Boolean combination thing. Today, if you go to Scopus, you will have Boolean combinations. Understand the scope of each of the Boolean combination. How do you enter in the thing? Advanced search. Go to advanced search. Understand the combinations. You can have a narrowed search with multiple combination of keywords. Here I just wanted to explain to you. If you use the word earthquake or volcanoes, you want to have, it will throw out both. A better example I will give you for to visualize. All British ruled countries, we use the term lifts. We don't use elevators. Maybe this generation is changing, I don't know. We use, where is the lift, we ask in a building for orienting ourselves. But US and some other countries use elevators. Okay. So if I am searching as a researcher, I want to work on elevators, research on elevator, elevator grouping, elevator simulation, how the traffic simulation, like the way transportation people road simulation, they do traffic simulation, we want to do within the building. I want to search lifts. If I put lifts, I will get papers published from these countries which use the term lift. So I have to use lift or elevators which will throw up throughout the global thing. These are all called synonym variations within the thing. So same thing. Next one is microcomputers and computers. It will have overlapping thing only. That overlapping portion, which papers which contain both the keywords will come. And microcomputers, not computers means it will throw up. Different combination are possible. Please understand the Boolean combinations that are provided to, so that you don't miss something, you don't end up with a large number of papers thrown up. Okay. How do you manage? How many of you have used a reference manager? Good number, decent number. There are several freewares that are available. Mendeley for desktop. Mendeley for desktop was developed by an young researcher like you when he was doing his PhD, struggling to manage. Later, it was taken over, bought by Elsevier for a high price. Mendeley as an institutional edition is costly. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. You don't also need that. Mendeley desktop is free. You can download Mendeley desktop, or if you are using a Mac system, you can also use Papership app. If you are Zotero also is a freeware. One of the things, Mendeley desktop, they said they are going to stop providing desktop version from September 1st, but yesterday night I searched before coming here, still the download button is available. Quickly download Mendeley for desktop. I will quickly show you. a demonstration of Mendeley desktop. It's okay not to have a little late lunch. How long can you tolerate? Another half an hour? No. Sorry. Next lecture I should not spill over. What time is your next lecture? Afternoon? 1:30 or 2? 1:45. I'll leave you. This is first demonstration I created. Mendeley for desktop, you download it from mendeley.com website and install it in your desktop. You have a thing, or if you have iPad or any other device, you will have a paper ship app. Actually, Mendeley had an iPad version. They withdrew last year. Mendeley web also is there. Once you create a login, you can have Mendeley for desktop. The advantage is that I'll show you. I have several papers listed here. When these waste management is a Elsevier journal, if I say, and details are correct. When I click on a paper, it gives me the abstract. I can read through the abstract. If I want to open this paper, it is stored in my computer only. I am able to open it and read it. I can also annotate something. If I want to highlight some thing for later date, this is an important thing. I can even introduce a note. Try this method. I can have a note. Okay, note is here. When I read it, I can annotate, or I can even highlight some paragraph, some sentences. How do I, once I create, how do I, once it is stored, it is there, my annotation. How do I bring in a paper into this? Okay, I have created a folder, AAA. Okay, I have a PDF file. I push this PDF file here. That's all. It is there inside. Now it gives me some other technology, blockchain. This lecture in PDF form, I have it here. Okay. So, or I have a folder in my desktop which contains downloaded papers, or I have a folder, series of subfolders. I have to drag the folder and bring it here. That's all. It comes inside. The advantages are, I go here. It contains a large number of papers. 159 papers are there in this folder. So, if I want to read, keywords are coming in here. Is it not? Left side, are you able to see the keywords? And I can also search by authors. If I want to search by authors also, I can search author name. Okay, I want to read the papers published by Cheeseman. Okay, Cheeseman CR. There are two things. Cheeseman C, Christopher Cheeseman. I can do. By keywords, today I want to keywords. Author given keywords. In each of the paper, authors are, journals ask you to give 6 keywords, minimum 5 to 6 keywords. When you upload the PDF file, it extracts the abstract from your PDF itself. The Mendeley is able to read. You don't have to key in the abstract. It reads the abstract and plugs in there in the right side column. It takes all the keyword from the paper, from the earmark thing, and then lists it here as a summary. For example, I want to water absorption. How many papers deal with water absorption of a particular thing? See, it has narrowed down. Tomorrow, if I am going to discuss with my advisor only water absorption issue for a discussion, I can also read. He or she also can read. We can have a meaningful discussion. So it helps in several ways to manage your papers. Okay, you create as many subfolders as possible, download whatever references you have got, and till you graduate you can manage them very easily. And you can you don't have to, once you put it here, if you are traveling, you don't have to be in the campus. If you are a day scholar, if you are traveling, I take my laptop contains everything. I open my Mendeley desktop, from here I am able to read through. Okay. In fact, if you have multiple devices, I have this one Windows based, I have an iPad where I have got a papership thing. I am able to seamlessly transfer all the data. And Mendeley for desktop, it also provides you some 2 GB cloud storage space. You have to, I don't remember how much cloud storage space it's providing. I'll quickly complete. So it is essential that you try to manage. I'll skip all these things. Okay. Then coming to critical review of literature. Okay. You read all the papers. Critical review means, I would say that best example is the way post office sorts the post. GPO Chennai 6001 from Central Station, you know, all the trains come in, post, all the things are coming in, and Agindi Chennai 25, Velachery 42, IIT 36, Adyar 20, somebody classifies. Same way, you identify, you have a large number of papers, you decide what is the best classification. It can be experimental, it can be numerical, or it can be one-dimensional analysis, two-dimensional analysis, three-dimensional analysis, or in terms of behavioral changes, like the way I said, water absorption or strength related things, or material characterization. You can decide the best classification. What I would suggest is, you don't decide how to write a review. Some of the review papers in your area, or not necessarily in your area, you read through from journals, review papers, or you read through some earlier thesis, you will know both the things, how not to write, how to write a review. So let me I'll highlight. Introduction is a small part of it. You are introducing the reader into the thesis. Literature survey is the first serious chapter in your thesis. If you make it unimpressive, if you make it boring, take it from me, examiner is not going to read the thesis. Your thesis readership value will be only 2, yourself and your guide. Your examiner is going to review. They get frustrated. You should make this, you should show, that's what the last statement, I'll skip for lack of time. Literature survey or critical appraisal rather than simple list of papers. You should demonstrate to the examiner that you have understood the embodied developments knowledge that has happened so far, then you are building on it. Okay. I'll quickly go through citation styles. There are basically 3 methods widely used. One is called numerical method, second one is called chronological method, third one is called alphabetical method. But I am only introducing, I am not saying which you should use. If you are writing a paper for a conference or writing a journal paper, each journal has an author guideline, each conference gives you author guideline. You have to follow their template. Okay, if you don't follow, editorially they will reject it. First of all, before sending the papers to the editor, the editorial office checks whether you are conforming to the author guideline. If they do, they desk rejection, it's called desk rejection. They won't even assign to editor, or editor doesn't assign to associate editors or reviewers, they'll send it back to you, reject it. So first of all, when you are writing a paper, be careful that you are following the thing. And as I have told you, in your institute, there may be a standard way of writing. Right from the DC report, what you are going to be writing for progress, you start following your organizations, institutes, Anna universities, citation styles and the listing of references, so that you get imbibed the habit. Otherwise, many times what people, examiners comment or they find it difficult to go through is that people have cited a paper in the text, it is not listed in the reference. Or people list large number of papers, many of them are not cited in the paper, in the thesis at all. So, any paper you write or any thesis, all the papers which are cited should be in the list. All the papers listed, cross check that they are cited. These are acid test for you. Okay, follow uniform pattern. For me, I can tell my department, civil engineering department in IIT Madras, we have a mandate that let it be a BTech project, MTech project, MS thesis, PhD thesis or DC report, anything, we mandated that we have to follow, all the students, research scholars follow American Society of Civil Engineers standard pattern of citing references and listing references. Some uniformity, we found it comprehensive, we are following. So, you should understand, first of all, look at some template in the Office of Research, they would have given you template at an early stage of research, imbibe these qualities. I'll highlight what is the numerical method. Numerical method is, example is, as you write the review or some text, first paper cited is given first one number 2 3 in that numerical order. As you cite first that paper, it gets a number, it progressively increases. Same thing, you list them as 1 2 3. Chronological order also, chronologically year wise you list it and then cite it, that number. In these two methods, the advantages, disadvantage is that, or I'll go through this alphabetical method where there is no numbering, only author names are there, and you have, when you are citing according to Hansen and or Nixon, Hansen and Nord, Bairagi et al. When you use only one single author, last name of the author, year is done. When you are having only two authors, both the authors are listed. When you are having more than two authors, you have to put et al. Okay, and in here you cannot put et al. You have to put in the reference list, you have to put all the authors. So the advantage of this is, the disadvantage of this is, when you give a draft to your guide, the guide corrects and plugs in one paragraph from 4th page to 24th page. The whole numbering gets jumbled. You get frustrated, renumbering, it's error prone. When the examiner is reading through, you would have cited wrongly. So you decide, but independent of the method, what is prescribed by your institution, it is your responsibility to make sure that each of the references are correctly cited, all the references are cited, all the references are listed. I'll stop here and okay. If you don't have papers subscribed by your institution, when you click on a paper from the campus, it says you don't have access. It says you pay $35. Then what are the options that are available to you? You register yourself in ResearchGate, and people today, they are uploading the last accepted manuscript version of the unedited manuscript version of the paper in ResearchGate. You create an ID for yourself, you search there, they will be available. You search through Google itself, it will show up with the title of the paper, it will show up. Or you can even identify the author email IDs, very specifically write to them. Okay, we also keep getting mails. I am working in this area, please send all the papers you have published. I simply delete that. It's an irresponsible request. Okay, when you are making a request to the author of a most recent paper, not 60s, 70s, 80s and all, people would have got retired, or people who maybe no more. So recent 10, 15 years papers, if the authors are alive and if the authors are still working holding their same email ID, you will definitely get a mail. You write to them properly saying that I am working in this area, I have gone through different methods, these papers, I could not get the following two papers, I'll be grateful if you can send the following papers if available with you. Definitely, if the mail reaches them, they will respond back to you. Responsible request has to be made. Okay, you should sufficiently convince the person that this paper is required for. In ResearchGate also, they would have listed their papers, but they would not have uploaded the full version, last accepted version, or the manuscript version, or the published version. There is a provision for you to request for full text. Once you make email alert comes to the author, and definitely most of the authors, let me assure you, most of the authors respond, okay, by sending the papers. Okay. So you have, each one of us have a name, when you registered for PhD, you have been given a roll number, no, by the Anna University. Then when I start publishing my first paper in a journal, Scopus Index journal, Scopus gives me a Scopus ID. Okay, this is my Scopus ID. So Scopus ID, once you have a Scopus ID, all the papers you publish in different journals during different period of the time is indexed in the same thing, with the same number. So the moment you give a website where in your website or some link where you give the your Scopus ID, Google Scholar ID, people will be able to access to all the papers that have been published by you. I'll quickly give you a example. Today with a I'll demonstrate my own. I'll go to my personal page where you will find dynamically the link is available, it gets updated. The moment I click here, it goes to my ResearchGate paper, ResearchGate ID. Okay, this Google Scholar ID, this goes to my Scopus ID, this takes to IRINS ID, which is being done by Government of India. Everything throws up my co-authors, visualization, better visualizations are there, who are all have been my co-author, what is the publication profile, and what is your H index or your public, citations, by different things, by cross references or Scopus or many other forum. See here, I clicked on my Scopus ID, it shows, it throws up my publications, citations, etc. So every one of you, as you publish, your name, your ID is getting registered. You will have all the papers coming in through Google Scholar, etc. lined up. So this is a typical India Patent Office site, and this is your typical university library website. If you have not already gone through, become familiar. It has search intranet. Through intranet, when you are in the campus, opaque search is there, book recommendation form, and etc. It's a very nicely done, maintained website. Okay, I'll stop here with the final slide, saying that I have spilled over your time by 20 minutes, more than 20 minutes. Many times we have reviewed through last several years of my experience when we sit through the examiner reports of PhD thesis across disciplines, science, humanities, management studies, or engineering, technology. One of the common comments we receive is that literature survey is not complete. So my recommendation is that you have to make sure that you don't get that comment. Question is already known. So you make sure that you are not necessarily to avoid that comment. Often people admit that either instance of finding literature too late, which showed their research overlapped with other duplicating instances, or finding literature too late for the information to be useful. If I am a lifelong researcher, if certain part of my research, I am working in an R&D organization or a CSR lab or any other thing, lifelong researcher, if some part of my work gets, I find later that it is duplicated, already people have done it, there is not much of stake. But your degree lies on your, your degree based on your thesis only. You have to make sure that your research is original, that you can ensure by a comprehensive review. I think I don't have to emphasize more on this. I'll stop here. I don't want to stand between you and your lunch, because you have to quickly have lunch. Next day, faculty member who is giving a lecture will be upset if you come late. Tell me if you have any quick questions I can answer. Or you can also write to me. I can clarify to you through email. Don't ask me what is your email. As a research scholar, you should be able to find out my email ID. Tell me quick questions, if any. Hungry. I think I have taken more time. Carefully go through the points which I have told you. Keep all your options open and then look for information. All the best for a very enjoyable research journey. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the informative lecture. I think this is right lecture on the right time. I think this will reduce your time of literature survey. I think you can plan your work properly. So this will help you a lot. As a token of love and appreciation, a small memento. Any questions? Yeah, please.
Hello. Take the mic.
Good afternoon, sir. Shall we get the patent while doing the research, sir?
Yeah, sure. Actually, that's why I said, if you have developed a certain product, or if you have developed a process or a concept design, what you should do is, we are all novice. I can frankly admit, okay, some of the discussions, if it is not recorded, I will be comfortable. I was restricting myself. Otherwise, in my lectures, I make sweeping statements. As an academician, I can make sweeping statements and get away with it. But since I am in a different campus, I was very cautious in making some statements. But nevertheless, you are a novice researcher. I can say that I have lost some patents because of, I can say that carelessness or lack of time or doing multitasking, we have published. But next generation researchers should carefully take guidance. You will have an IP cell in your institute. IP cell will be their guidance. Yes, you go meet with them, they will maintain utmost confidentiality. The first and foremost requirement for an IP cell in an institution is, when you go take an appointment and discuss with them, they don't divulge the information to anyone. They will keep it within themselves. They will better understand. The reason why I say that you should go to an IP cell, because as faculty members, we do multitasking. Not all of us are aware or confident that certain thing can be patented or not. Okay. What we think is, our research, we feel that we have developed something which is deserving patenting. But how do you know that there is already people have developed this? You would not have found that material in literature, published papers. Patented resources are, that's why I said you should also do patent search yourself before going and seeing. But we are novice researchers, we don't know how to do a patent search as an expert. The IP cell, there will be people who are experienced, who will do a prior art search for you and ensure that there is novelty. They will also help you. See, we learn how to write a paper. You have had a thing. We can't have lectures on how to write a patent document, because patent attorneys are there. There are patent attorneys, retainer patent attorneys each institution has. Okay, they take care of the patenting processes, they will help you. Patent attorneys discuss with you and write novelty in your thing. Claims that are called claims. Claims, each claim is a novelty. There are certain patents which may have one or more claims. There are certain patents which have some large number of claims. What are your unique claims which prior art doesn't show? Once you file a provisional patent, this will be circulated amongst the whole community, and patent office also will do an independent search and say whether it is patentable or not. If it is rejected, we have to accept that. Afterwards, it will be open for public. There are several industries who might have patent. We are not aware of it. Once after that period of objections, etc., this will be granted. It will take time. There is a time lapse. You can file a patent and you will have a patent pending number. You can proceed with your publication. What you have to divulge, what you don't have to divulge in the publication can be decided. You don't, my recommendation is that you don't decide yourself that it is not patentable. You take advice, because it is a area which even amongst faculty members it's a grey area. We always have a pressure for publishing. We have generated a pressure for publishing rather than patenting. Slowly things will emerge to patenting scenario. Technology development. Every university, every institution is giving emphasis on this. You discuss with many people.
Sir, actually, I want to tell one more thing. We are conducting a workshop on patent filing and thesis writing on September 14.
Very good.
That is an online thing. It
Very
is
good.
open. The registration is open. I think you can.
Those who want to register can register. So on September 14th, we are arranging one-day workshop, which is purely online. This is mainly for thesis writing and patent filing. Eminent people or delivering lectures. If you are interested, you can always attend. Okay, it is mainly for the senior research scholars. Those have completed confirmation. But even at the initial stages, we welcome you to attend that one-day workshop also.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Good.
Any questions?
Any other questions? It's only a class. Why do you have to clap? Any lecture you clap in your classes? What you attend courses? Huh? Next faculty may expect you to clap. Don't. These are all I avoid when I open camera. But if you have switched off, I would have made much more fun, much more comments, critique, which you would have enjoyed. My hands, mouth were tied up. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.
So one more information actually, I wanted to share with Professor Ramamurthy in presence of all our scholars. So from this year onwards, we are giving Anna Research Fellowship. Earlier it was ACRF. Now we are giving the fellowship, which is on par with other. So it is 31,000 plus 24% HRE. So you are very lucky in this batch, and we expect outcome in the same way. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, as a token of love and appreciation from CFR, a small memento. I request our director to present.